Hello, welcome to our parent workshop. Today we're going to be looking mainly at how we teach our literacy and our maths at school, the ways that we approach it with your children, and hopefully lots of ideas and ways that you can support them with their learning at home. Normally we would have opportunities to ask questions and discuss throughout the presentation, but as it's online this year, please email your questions to the school email, and we will reply with it all together as a whole list of questions and answers, so that everybody can see and hear the questions and the answers anonymously, as you normally hear live anyway. So just briefly, that we do follow the early years foundation stage. It's the same curriculum that your children would have been following all through their nursery experience, and it follows them through nursery all the way into the end of reception. So the learning that they're going to be doing in school this year is very much linked and like to their nursery experiences. Obviously, as they grow through the nursery, the expectations step up, and as they come to reception, the expectations step up again. So there are 7 areas of learning and development. It's a very play-based curriculum. We do all our teaching and learning through play as much as possible, and that includes their literacy and their maths. And we gradually add more formality throughout the year as they're learning and as they become more independent. But there is a really good balance of child-initiated learning and adult-led activities as well. We do observations that go into their learning diaries, and you've been given wow stars from home, which are also on the school website, so that you can add to their learning diaries with their learning from home as well. And these could be any lovely wow moments, things that they've learned or learned to do at home that you're really proud of, and they can share it with their friends at school. So as I say, there are 7 areas of learning, but today we're going to be focusing particularly on the reading, the writing and the number, because those are the areas that are a bit more specific now that we're in school, and the areas where we can give you more guidance on how to support them at home. So we follow a phonics programme. We use the Jolly Phonics songs. There is a song with an action for every letter of the alphabet, and they go in a specific order that goes alongside our reading books as well. We also use Bug Club to teach our letters, so we have some really catchy little 10-minute lessons that we can do in school. The children love it. They always really look forward to doing phonics before lunch. I'll show you an example now of a lesson that we can do, just some snippets from it. There's a lesson like this for every single letter, and you'll find that your children are picking the letters up really quickly and progressing through the reading books and really quite fast, maybe faster than you were expecting at this time of the year. So each letter has a video that goes along with the letter. It shows the letter formation of how to write the letter correctly, and then it moves on to looking at words that contain the letter, either at the beginning, the middle, of the end, or at the end of the word. Your children will be taking part in this part of the lesson interactively, shouting out things they can see, talking about where the letter sound is in the word, and then practicing reading using the new letter that they've learned that day. While you're reading with your child, they will be sounding out, which means saying each of the sounds they can see. So p, a, d. That bit is going to be the easier bit. As long as they know the letter, they'll be able to sound it out in any word. The trickier bit is blending that together. So p, a, d. They need to be able to hear pad. If it's a more obvious word, like ad, mad, they're going to blend it a bit easier, especially if there's picture clues. If they were doing pot and there was a picture of a flower pot, they might blend those words a bit easier than they blend words that are a bit more abstract. It's the same for the spelling. You hear a word,
mad,
mad. And then you need to break those sounds up, so it's just the same as the sounding out and then blending it together, but you have to segment the words back out. So mad is Each time we learn a new letter, we'll practice reading with the letter, spelling, which is for writing with the letter, and practicing the correct letter formation. This is an example of one of the games that you'll be able to access on Bug Club on your home login.
Click on the word that matches the word you hear, pins.
And then with your child, you'll need to be helping them to sound out. Pins is p-i-n-s. So you can help them looking. It needs to start with p, 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 then ins, p, ins.
Well done.
You get 3 lives, and it doesn't really matter if you don't get all the way to 10. So we will be teaching our phonics and starting very soon. At the moment, your children are expressing their vocabulary and their communication. So Lilac Books will be coming home. The Lilac Books, even if they have words in, are only supposed to be picture books. They're to read with your children, to look at the pictures, and to use those as clues to figure out the stories. So with your children with these Lilac Books, and it could be any book at all, any book from the free library. The main idea is that we don't want you to just read the book to them. We want your children to look at the pictures and make the story up themselves, figuring out from the pictures what's going on. So looking at the front cover, asking lots of questions. What do you think is going to happen? Who do you think the characters are? And as you go through the story, why do you think that's happening? Lots of questions to make them tell you the story without you telling it to them. Obviously, if there's words, or if you know the actual story afterwards, you're welcome to share the story in other ways. Stories can always have different possibilities and different endings and different middles, so you can read the story probably 10 times over and come up with lots of different versions of the story anyway. So it's all about your children's language and getting them to express that themselves. If you are speaking a different language at home, please do use your home language to do this with the storybooks. It's really important for your children to be confident at expressing their language as best as they can. As we go on to the more phonics-based learning, they will be reading their home books in English then, but obviously you can read the words in English, and if you want to discuss in your home language around it, then that would be brilliant as well. At school, your children will be reading twice a week. They will read once with the teacher, once with the teaching assistant, and each classroom also has plenty of books in the book corner for them to share at other times during their day as well. Initially, your children will be bringing home a phonics reading book. They have stickers in the corner that have them in sets. So the first set will be set 1 and 2 combined. It's the first 8 letters that we will teach them. And all of the books in this set only use 8 letters. So as you can imagine, the books will get more interesting the further they get through the sets. Each set will add 4 new letters. And once you get a few sets in, it really broadens up what they can do with the storybooks. So please bear with them while your children get through the first few sets and broaden what the books can hold for them. We will be changing your children's books on a Monday and a Thursday to give you the best balance between then of sharing the books with them. We hope that you could share books with them daily. Now, obviously children are going to enjoy their reading books to different levels, and there will be lots of different opportunities and ways that you can share reading with them. It doesn't need to be the book from start to finish if they're not managing that, and certainly until they get quicker and more confident with their reading. It can take a little while to get through a whole sentence and to figure out what the sentence means, and to then look at the pictures and make links with what they've read to the pictures. So I recommend having a bookmark, possibly a set amount of time, say 5 minutes every day for their reading, and see how they get on with that. It could be that you, in that 5 minutes, you read what you can, and it could be a couple of sentences, a couple of pages, and then you pop your bookmark in and save it for the next day. There's also lots of ways that you can use the reading book. If your child is recognising the letters really well and they're sounding out the letters p, at, but they're not able to then realise that says pat, they could sound out and you could say pat for them. So they could read p, at, and then you say pat, and then they can move on naps, naps. If they can't say naps, you say it for them and move on. When they get to the end of their sentence, initially you will need to string that for them, so you could read it back to them once they've got to the end, because by the time they've sounded out every letter in that sentence, they're not likely to know what it is they've read yet. As they progress through the reading levels and they get more confident and the things get quicker, they might start recognising small words, is, in, it, without having to sound it out, it, every time. And then they might be able to start stringing their own words together and getting a bit more fluency in their reading. But it does take time to get there, and that will depend entirely on your children. The reading books that we send home can be the same as the ones you can find on Bug Club. On your yellow reading record there is a sticker with the Bug Club login, so once your children are reading books with words in a few weeks' time, there will be a selection available for you on Bug Club that you can access on your phone, tablet, computer, and you read them the same as you would a hard copy book, but on there there's usually bug quiz questions, and they can earn points, and there's a bit more around the app, what they can do with their reward points and things like that for more incentive. So they are a nice opportunity to look at books. Some of them we have at school and some of them we don't, so it's just another opportunity to interest your child and another way to access some reading for them. In the books that are on Bug Club, and some of the ones that we have in school but not all the school ones, when you open up on the inside page, as in the picture, they sometimes have some helpful hints for you. So in this one, the inside page has some activities. So activity 1 is for you to look up with your child, and they can make sure they know all of the letter sounds in the book. S, at, p, it, n, d. If there's any that they don't know, you can practice that before you get into the book, and then they won't find tricky bits as they go through. Same with the other words. It might be that your reading for one day is to check that they know the sounds, practice the words in the number 2 set of words, and then look through the pictures, think about the story, talk about what might be happening. There's some ideas, story comprehension ideas, vocabulary check ideas, and tips for reading through the story, obviously for the adults to read, to help you as you go through the book. And then similarly at the back of the book, there's a section for adults to look at ideas of how to engage with the story that they've just read. So having a book for 4 days doesn't mean that you read it every single day and you just read it over and over. There's lots of other ways that you can use the book, lots of other games you can play. You could look for words in the book. Let's see if we can find the word sad, and you look through the book looking for sad, or you turn to a page and ask your child, what does this word say? Just pick one of the words, and can you see that in the picture? Lots of different things you can do. It doesn't need to be, as I say, reading start to finish every time you get the book out. On Bug Club, there's also games that we can allocate you. I'll show you a video now of one of the games to play. And these are also reading activities, and there's some spelling as well on there, but mainly reading. And this can also be used as an opportunity to practice reading with your child every day. So maybe some days they don't want to look at their book, maybe they'll do a reading game instead. There are also tricky words. These are ones that cannot be sounded out. So normally we would be reading at cat, but the is not to her. So there are some words that are really common that they need to be knowing, but they just need to know them by sight. So while we're learning the alphabet initially, we'll send home the orange strip with the phase 2 tricky words on. These are the only ones that you'll find in your phonic books for this set. So there'll only be these 6, the, to, I, know, go, into. These just, as I say, need to be learned as a word as a whole. So you could do things like write them on a post-it note, pop them up somewhere in the house and say, let's go and find them. And as they find them, you can read the words together to practice. You can make a little snap game. On your yellow reading records, you'll find a login for Bug Club. When you log in as a child, you get this. You come up to this page. It works on iPads and phones, as well as computers. It's interactive to try and make the reading and learning more fun. If you go to the home page, My Home, you can choose the type of world to be in. And then if you go to My Stuff, so for the end of this week, you'll all have 30 items in your box. And this includes games that you can play where they'll ask you questions and you click on and choose the right answers. Each game or book that you're doing will earn you some points, so you get 10 coin points. And there's a reward section you can go to for incentive. These are more like the things we're using in school. So your child might enjoy showing you what we did at school and showing you through the little tabs at the top of each game how we do the reading and the spelling. There's lots of different games, and this is going to be each week from now on. Every time we add 4 new sounds, the games are very similar. They'll probably be the same games and same types of reading books, but they add 4 new sounds, so the children quite enjoy playing them, even though they've played the same sort of game before. And then reading books as well. If you go to my library, I think the old reading books get stored in the library, so if you wanted to go back to them, you can. If you go to my rewards, at the moment, we haven't done anything, so there's no reward points yet, but each activity, it looks like it gives you 10 reward points, and then you can go into the reward section, and there's a sticker book, I think, as well. You go into the sticker factory, you can print new stickers, and go to your sticker book. All things to try and help get incentive for your children. Once your child has progressed a bit further through the phonics reading scheme, they will also be given a colour banded book. So you can see in the picture this is a pink home reader. So rather than having sets with a certain amount of letters in there, these ones are a little bit more free reading. There are lots of different ways that children learn to read. Some will find these ones possibly a little bit challenging, but whereas in the phonic books it's really structured and they're only sounding out and then blending together letters that we've taught them, and it's very straightforward. These ones will start to introduce other types of English language and other letters that they may be learning already at home that we haven't taught them yet at school. So there may be things that they can do that we haven't specifically taught them yet. So these ones are for you to share with your children. Take them as best as you can. So if your children are happy reading them, then great, read them with them. If they can read bits of it and you read bits of it, that's also fine. And if you've got any questions with these ones, just come and ask us, because they're not as structured as the phonic books. So as I said, children's books will be changed twice a week at school, on a Monday and a Thursday. And your yellow reading record is to be used between home and school. In school, we write that your children have been reading a book. We'll make a comment on how they got on, so that you know at home, or the next person reading with them at school knows where they are at with their learning in their reading. And similarly, we'll be wanting you to write from home as well. If you haven't written in the yellow book, we assume that they haven't read their book and they don't get a new one. So even if you ticked it, that would be really helpful, just so that we can change their books as efficiently as possible. Ideally, if you can just write a comment that what they found easy, what they found tricky, it also helps us to know what to work on the next time we read with them in school. And as I say, if you can read or share a book with your child every day, it is very beneficial for them, for their reading and for their communication and their vocabulary as well. So with the sharing of books every day, there is a free little library outside of the main entrance where you collect your children. You can help yourself to these books. We don't monitor it, you just take what you want, bring them back when you're finished reading them, and then everybody can share these books.
This slide shows how we teach the children to form each individual letter. As you can see, each letter of the alphabet sits within one of these 4 letter families, based on their shape and the way that they're formed. We teach the letter formation alongside each sound. A special saying usually goes with each letter. For example, if we're teaching letter A, which sits within the curly caterpillar family, the children will say, around the caterpillar, up, down, give a little flick. And this really helps to embed the formation within the child's memory. We encourage the children to start each letter in the correct place and to try to form it in one smooth movement. During terms 1 and 2, the children will take part in daily finger gym activities to help develop and strengthen the muscles in their fingers and their hands. This is a prerequisite to a firm pencil grip and strong pencil control in writing. Here you can see just a few of the fun activities on offer. The use of small tools like scissors and tape dispensers are used independently for crafting and junk modelling. Emergent writing is a child's first attempt at the writing process. We encourage children to have a go at recording their thoughts and ideas in a way that is meaningful to them. Lots of writing tools are on offer inside and outside our classrooms to encourage writing opportunities in all areas of play. Gradually, the writing develops into recognisable letters and words.
Teaching maths. We teach maths in reception using the White Rose approach. We have daily maths sessions. We also learn through number blocks, songs and rhymes. Home learning is important to reinforce maths learning. When counting numbers, children need to understand that we say one number for each object counted. The final number we say is how many we have altogether, and that we can count objects in any way and the total will remain the same. Here are some examples of children doing counting activities. Here are some examples of reasoning in reception. We ask the children true or false statements. For example, is this true or false? Adding 1 to a number always makes it bigger. We play games spotting incorrect maths. For example, 1, 2, 3, 5, 6. Which number's missing? And we ask the children to explain how they know something or how they worked it out. In reception, we do lots of problem solving. For example, spotting and following and creating patterns, estimating amounts of objects, predicting how many times they can do something in a minute, and sharing objects between different groups. Here are some examples of some problem-solving activities. Maths is practical and fun. We observe children using maths in their play and put photos and quotes in their individual learning diaries. How you can help at home. Can you spot numbers in the environment with your child? For example, on phones, microwaves, clocks, registration plates, doors, etc. Can you count? Count steps up the stairs, money into a money box. Can you play games using dice and encourage your child to say how many spots there are without counting? Can you ask the child how many you have without counting? For example, do I have 5 or is it fewer? Ask your child to set up the table with enough knives and forks for everybody. Deliberately make mistakes when counting. Can they correct you? Hide numbers in the house and garden for children to find. And play outdoor games like hopscotch and skittles. Even better, let the children make up their own games and then decide how to score points. And can you use the number formation strip sent home from school to practice writing numbers with the correct formation? Can you watch number blocks on CBeebies with your child? This programme is written by maths specialists to model maths concepts and represents numbers brilliantly. After the programme, ask them what they've learnt about.
Each new term we start a new topic. This term our topic has been all about me, where we get to know your children and they can get to know each other, their friends. On the school website you can find details of the topics, as well as every Friday we will be uploading any new information, and as we're not coming into school as much at the moment, normally we would have learning walls where you can see the children's learning, access to their learning diaries. So at the moment there'll be a lot more photos on the website. Please do let us know if you'd like us to not put your child's photo on the website. So we have been using the new Reception Intake 2020 class page, but now that we are all settled in, if you go to the same place on the website, on the picture it shows the drop down from infants down to class pages, and then at the bottom, once you click there, you'll have an option for 3 classes. We're obviously reception, and in there it'll be the same sort of page as you've been seeing before. So that's where all the information will be from now on. And as I say, every Friday evening it will be updated with any new photos and information from the week,